Oh, we're rolling? Hey everyone, Mike Burke here with Inside Real Estate Photography, and in this video we're going to discuss the best and most efficient way that I've found to shoot real estate drone, photo, and video shoots. So after many years of doing them, I've developed a streamlined approach to drone shoots that will get you in and out quick and also get great results. In this video, we're going to discuss the settings I use and also the method I use to approach each shoot. It's also important to note here, if you're going to be doing drone shoots commercially, you need to get your FAA Part 107 certification, and also I highly recommend you get insurance to cover you in any accidents. Alright, first things first, let's get into the settings. So my drone of choice these days is the Mavic 2 Pro. I assume most of you out there are using some sort of DJI product because they're pretty much the biggest player in the game right now. So all these settings should work out pretty well for you. Also, if you're just getting into drone photography, I do highly recommend the Mavic 2 Pro. It performs great and it gets great quality images. If you're interested in purchasing, you'll find a link down in the description. Alright, without further ado, let's open the DJI Go app and get into the settings. Alright guys, here we are in the DJI Go app. First thing we want to do is access the menu up here by touching where it says ready to go. Once you're in that menu, scroll down to where it says button customization. Here I have C1 programmed to be camera forward or down, and also C2 to enable or disable obstacle avoidance. Once you have that set, go out to the main screen. Next we're going to go to the menu accessed by the three dots at the top right of the screen. Next thing you're going to do is tap on the gimbal icon. Here's where you adjust how fast the camera tilts up and down. I have mine set very slow and gradual, so my movements look very smooth and cinematic. I have my max gimbal pitch speed set to 4 and my gimbal pitch smoothness set to 24. If these settings don't work for you, you'll have to tweak them as you go. Okay, again, we're going to back out to the main screen. So the next thing we're going to do is set our photo settings. Make sure the photo icon is active and access the menu underneath the shutter button. Okay, now we're in the photo settings menu. Ignore the red aperture numbers, it's just because I'm inside and it's underexposed right now. Okay, so the settings I'm using here are aperture priority mode, which is the A. My ISO is set to 100. My aperture is set to f4, which is the sharpest aperture on this camera from the research that I've done. I want the sharpest possible photos and videos, so that's why I keep my aperture set there and also use aperture priority so my aperture stays put and does not change. Only my shutter speed changes to change exposure. We're shooting outside in broad daylight with the drone, so you shouldn't really have to worry about your shutter speed getting too slow. The only time you would have to worry about that is if you were doing something like a twilight shoot. Okay, now that we have all that set, we're going to tap on the camera icon in the center and access that menu. First, tap on the photo menu, and I have mine set on auto exposure bracket for 5 frames. I like to shoot brackets outside, but that's up to you. You may want to set it on single shot and just do a single raw photo. You'll have to experiment and see what you like better. Next, for image size, we're going to do 4:3. Next, for image format, I have it set to JPEG because I like to shoot bracketed JPEGs, but here is where you would change it to RAW if you just wanted to shoot a single RAW frame. For white balance, I have it set to auto white balance. For style, none. For color, I leave it set to normal. Next, if you go up to the gear menu on top, I like to activate the grid because it helps me center things in my frame and compose my shots. Now we're going to switch it over to video mode and change those settings. In the top left aperture menu, we're actually not going to change anything in here. We're leaving it on aperture priority mode at f4, ISO 100. Now I know what a lot of you guys are going to say. You're leaving it in aperture priority mode to shoot video? Why would you do that? The reason is I want to be able to switch back and forth between photo and video quickly and without messing with a lot of settings. And I know what you're probably thinking, which is, isn't the camera going to be auto exposing by changing shutter speed? Technically yes, we are giving the camera permission to do that, but truth be told, once you're in position, the camera calculates the shutter speed and you're shooting in broad daylight, so the lighting conditions really aren't changing, so your exposure really doesn't change in the midst of a shot. Only once in a while do I really see it happen, and the trade-off being how fast you can switch back and forth between photo and video mode without messing with any settings is totally worth it. In the beginning I would shoot my photos, and then when I wanted to get a video clip I would switch over to video mode, put it into manual exposure mode, manually put in all my settings. It was eating up my batteries and taking up way too much of my time. Shooting video in aperture priority mode, which is the same mode I use to shoot photos, and being able to switch back and forth so quickly is probably the biggest thing that made my drone shoots way more efficient. The other thing you guys might be thinking is, what about the 180-degree shutter rule for video? And the fact that I'm shooting in f4 aperture priority mode, I'm probably getting very fast shutter speeds, which, yes, is true. I really don't worry about it though, it's really not noticeable to me. When you see the video clips later on this video, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. Can you tell I'm completely ignoring the 180-degree shutter rule? Does the motion look weird to you at all? I can certainly tell you agents don't notice, that's for sure. Alright, next we're going to go to the camera icon on top. So first for video size, I'm shooting at 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. Why am I not shooting in 4K? Because I think 4K is completely overkill for a real estate drone video and I think it's unnecessary. That's just my opinion. If you want to shoot in 4K, go for it. The reason I'm shooting at 30 frames per second is because later on in post-production, I'm going to slow it down to 24 frames per second. Now I know that's not much of a slowdown, but it does slow it down ever so slightly and make it a little more cinematic looking in my opinion. Next, for video format, we're shooting in MP4. For white balance, it's set to auto white balance. Again, this is for speed, so you can switch back between shooting photos and videos without changing any settings. And again, we're shooting outside in broad daylight. The lighting conditions really aren't changing. I've never once had the camera shift white balance on me in the middle of a clip. Next, the style is set to none. Color, we have set to normal. And camera video coding, we have set to H.264. All right, that's it for the photo and video settings. Following explanation of how I approach a drone shoot is a sort of formula that I've developed over the years that will help you get in and out quickly and also cover all your bases as far as viewpoints and angles go so you have a happy client. If you're just starting out to do drone shoots, or even if you've been doing them for quite a while, this will hopefully help you streamline your operation and save you some valuable time. Because if you're like me, you probably have another shoot to get to and time is money. By the way, if you're liking any of this information, please take a second to hit that like button and consider subscribing. So my basic approach to a drone shoot is working from the ground up. First getting the low level shots, then my medium height shots, then my full height shots. Sort of like a upside down wedding cake if you can picture that. The following explanation is of a photo and video combo drone shoot, but if I was just doing a photo shoot, my approach would be basically the same. So for starters, I get a few low-level video shots of the front of the house and the front entrance and any other features there might be. I don't take any photos at this level because the traditional ground level photos I've taken with my camera and tripod have covered this already. Only if you're comfortable with it, you may want to disable the vision sensors for these low-level shots because you're going to be flying close to stuff and they're going to be driving you crazy. Truth be told, I fly with them off 100% of the time, but I would not recommend that unless you've been flying for quite a while and you're very comfortable in what you're doing. So a huge tip for these low-level drone shots is to use tripod mode. Tripod mode will desensitize your sticks, making your movements slower, less jerky, and more cinematic looking. You can adjust the parameters of tripod mode in the app to your liking. I love tripod mode. So after the front low-level shots are completed, I take the drone up above the house and off to the left, somewhere in the 25 to 50 feet above ground level range, depending on how big the house is. Once I'm in position there, I take my first photo. I then move and center the house as best as I can to get a straight on shot. After that, I move off slightly to the right and get a third angle there. Once I get photos of these three angles, I switch over to video mode and do a sweep across the front of the house. At that same height, I swing the drone around to the back of the house and snap a photo slightly off to the right, then slightly off to the left, before switching over to video mode and getting another video sweep of the back of the house. So following that, I take the drone up to medium height, which really can be anywhere from 150 to 300 feet. The goal here being to capture the entire property line, so the height really depends on how big the property is. In the front of the property, I get photos of those same three angles we did at the lower height. Slightly off to the left, in the center, and off to the right. Again, I do a video sweep. Same goes for the back of the property. So after that is completed, I bring the drone down in height a little bit and position it in front of the house. We're going to do a video pull away shot here, so make sure you're at a safe height and that there's no obstacles behind you that you may hit as you pull away. Hit record for your video clip and press back and up on the joysticks and do a rising pull away shot from the house, ending in a great surrounding view of the area. These shots are a great way to end your drone videos, as you will see in the final edited version of the video example coming up later. If you're not at the full 400-foot height yet after completing that move, proceed up to max height. The goal here is to show what the neighborhood and surrounding area of the property is like, including any geographical features such as proximity to water, or in this case a golf course. I position myself off to the left of the property and take a photo. Since the distance is pretty long between this point and my next, I switch over to video and record a video clip from this position to my next, which is off to the right of the property. Once there, I stop recording and take another photo. After that is done, I reposition a little bit and do a video approach shot towards the front of the house. As I'm approaching, I'm descending in height and tilting the gimbal down if necessary to try to keep the property centered in the frame the whole time. This is great to use for your opening shot at the beginning of your edited video. I then ascend back up to maximum height as I move off to the rear of the property and take a photo off to the left. Again, I hit record on video and record my movement until I'm off to the right of the property. Once there, I take another photo. Now we have opposing angles looking off into the distance from almost every perspective, front and back. Now is when I descend the drone and walk around to the back of the house. I finish the shoot by doing any low-level photo or video shots of any features of the backyard, including decks, pools, or anything of that nature. Again, tripod mode is your friend here, making your movements buttery smooth. So that about sums up my method for executing a drone shoot. Of course, I may deviate from this here or there by throwing a different shot in if the situation calls for it. Now that we've gone through the technique, let's take a look and see what the finished video looks like. Well guys, that's about it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and if you found this content helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and enabling notifications for future videos. If anyone's interested, there's a list of gear I recommend down in the description below. Thanks again guys, and I'll see you on the next one.